Hey everybody, I am Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. Joining me back is Tyler Avery. How are you, Tyler?
Good. How are you, man?
Good, buddy. So today we're going to be talking about who we think could be a potential future champ in each UFC division. Now, first we're going to start off with heavyweight. You mentioned a couple names just a couple minutes ago to me. You want to say them again?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, if we're gonna talk about obvious potential for to be a champion, we have to bring up Cyril Gahn. He's
Mm.
right there right now. I think that he's the one that people want to see fight
He is an
Francis the
interim
most.
champion too. Yeah.
Yes, and I don't give that enough credit. A lot of people look at an interim champion as a champion, but when I describe an interim champion, I don't really look at them as like an official champion until they get their shot at the
Right.
belt.
I feel like
But
at times, go ahead.
he definitely he's definitely earned his spot at the interim belt. But I think that once he fights Ngannou, um, if he wins that, that's when he'll really get the respect of a real champion.
Yeah, I think as far as the interim thing goes, it's kind of fickle. It's very subjective because say for the interim bantamweight title fight, Peter Yan and Yan and Corey Sandhagen. Most people think Corey beat TJ, and everybody knows Yan is better than Sterling. So that's like the undisputed title fight kind of. And
Right.
the interim champion is supposed to be the champion of the active weight class. Francis Ngannou is active, so it's kind of bullshit that a title was even. He's really a number one contender, so he does belong on this list. I don't blame you for saying it.
I feel like sometimes they like, especially with this matchup, they're almost like they're similar to each other in ways that they're both really big, intimidating forces. They're both in really good shape for heavyweights.
Yes,
Uh,
they are.
they both look really good as champions. So to make this a
Mm-hmm.
champion versus champion fight kind of just builds more onto the hype
They're
and kind
former
of just
teammates too.
decorates it things and makes it a little more pretty, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they're former teammates too, and they're both strikers with underrated ground games.
yeah, for sure. I think Ngannou is probably gonna have for once. I'm saying this. I think Ngannou will have the advantage as terms of well-roundedness.
Uh-huh.
I feel like he'll be the harder man to take down, harder man to hold down. I don't know about submissions. I think Gahn may even have a slight advantage because he's just a more
He might.
technical. Like his application to fighting in general is just more technical.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say he might have the advantage there. But when you're dealing with such a big, strong guy like Ngannou, where he's built almost like if with some wrestling training, Ngannou could be a really hard guy to handle on the ground.
Yeah, for sure. Stipe couldn't take him down the second time. You saw
Yeah,
what happened.
he's only getting better, and he has a physique that would make him with technique really difficult to take down.
Mm-hmm. Especially
So
training with
that would
lighter
be
guys,
interesting.
being as fast as he is, being as
Yeah,
powerful as he is. Yeah, man, he's a dangerous dude, most dangerous man on the planet right now.
yeah. And another one to bring up for me is another obvious one is potentially Stipe Miocic. I don't think he's ever really fully out of any fight. He works hard. He's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's got cardio, pretty decent cardio for a heavyweight. Um, I feel like it's not beyond him to ever come back and grind out
He
a
could definitely win
wrestling
the
win
belt again. Yeah,
versus Ngannou or Gahn.
especially
Uh,
if Gon beats Ngannou, he could win that fight with his wrestling. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it'll be a clean slate for him. And it'll be slightly less dangerous, even though Gon obviously can hit hard and knock anybody out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh he fights more technical, which would leave more opportunities for Stipe to make mistakes.
He does. I mean, the way Gon can just his wide array of strikes and the way he can just switch up the tempo and throw some of them like 20%, others 100, others 80. It's remarkable the way he switches stances while he's throwing elbows or kicks, whatever. Dude, he's remarkable. He's 13-0 as a pro kickboxer too. He actually had a really, really bright future in that, but decided to cut it short to start MMA.
He
How
kind of
about
bounces around like Jones too, like the way that he attacks with his legs and will
mhm.
keep distance with his legs and in point fight and just mix
Yeah,
things up
all
really well.
sorts of kicks that he keeps distance with, just like Jones. You're right.
Yeah, very similar. Good fight for him versus Jones too in the future. If we know that
I
might
would
not
love
happen,
to see
but
that.
if that happened,
I'd love to see him beat John Jones up. How about Tai Tuivasa?
I'm a fan of Tai Tuivasa. Personally, I don't see him beating some of the top 5 guys.
No, me either right
Um,
now.
not right now, at least. Uh, there's a lot of guys right now that are have a better stamina and gas tank, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and are just they might be a little bit better at what he brings. Uh,
Sure.
Gone is gonna outbox him, and I feel like that's where he would want to. That's his bread and butter, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
if he's gonna lose in boxing to Gone, I feel like I don't see him taking Ngannou either.
Well,
I feel
think
like
about it though. Ngannou is 34, 35 years old. Tai Tuivasa is 28.
a lot of
And
time to improve.
he did, let's see. He made his UFC debut with a 6-0 record. He's also 5-2 in pro boxing and 14-2 in kickboxing. But he won his first 3 fights and then he lost his next 3. After that, he started training. He didn't even train regularly before that. And he's
Right.
gotten 3 knockouts in a row since. And they're not the best fighters in the world, but I definitely could see a bright future for him.
Yeah.
As
If
long
he,
as
if
you
he,
know his lifestyle, like you mentioned.
yeah. Yeah, he's drinking chewies right after every fight. So you got to think, what does he do on a regular night out with the boys, you know?
Right.
So he probably parties pretty hard, but um, anyone is, as they get older, matures,
Mhm.
can mature and change. So he has a lot of time to catch up,
He does.
and I could see him because he's not a huge heavyweight. I could see him being a fast moving heavyweight that maybe does down the road have a little bit more of a gas tank.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's see. He's 12-3. He's incredibly athletic for especially for what he looks like, and he's really powerful. So I think he's got a very bright future in the sport. Someone who's also 12-3, Chris Daukaus. How do you think his future fares in the UFC's heavyweight division?
I feel like he's almost similar to Tai Tuivasa, but he
I think he's a little
he
better in the boxing department.
yes, he's just more technical, but they're both
He's
small,
faster
like not
too.
not small, but they're both not huge heavyweights that move
Mhm.
kind of fast. Uh
They're both kind of overweight heavyweights.
yeah, well, they both look like they've lost a lot of weight.
Right. Yeah, that's
Like
what.
they used to be big, but they still have weight to lose, obviously. Chris Daukaus is a little stockier than I think I give him credit for, though. He's got really wide,
Mhm.
stocky shoulders.
He does.
But he has really crisp boxing, and he seems super dedicated. And he's a guy that I feel like can probably throw a lot of volume in
Mhm.
a fight, punch volume for a heavyweight. I feel like Chris Daukaus is slept on, and I think he
Me
beats
too.
a lot of people in the top 6 that are under him.
Well,
I
he's
feel like he
taken.
beats Rosenstruck, as of we saw
He
Rosenstruck lately.
could.
If someone if someone is gonna outpace him and put on volume on him and also hits fairly hard, I feel like it slows Rosenstruck down.
Mhm. I think.
Volkov I feel like is just too slow for Daukaus. He'd get inside and beat him up with the boxing, I think.
Well,
Or
Dawkins is
maybe
also a big dude too. He's also 6'3". He's not
yeah,
much smaller.
he's not as small as I give him credit for, I guess, but
He
he
did
just
weigh in
doesn't
at
seem like he
231.
carries a ton of muscle in there, but he is a
Right.
thick guy.
No, yeah, he weighed in at 231 for his last fight. I just seen. So yeah, he's out of his 12 wins. He's also got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just like his brother Kyle. And 11 of his wins are knockouts out of his
Yeah.
12. So that's really interesting. He
I
lost
also
his.
think he beats Blades. I think he could potentially beat Lewis and Miocic.
Mhm.
Gone and Ngannou, I think are toss-ups, and it's tough to say how he do versus them right now. But I feel like he matches up well with everyone in the top 6 under him, except for maybe the top 2.
Yeah, he's 4-0 in the UFC right now with 4 knockouts. Got performance of the nights in his last 3, and now he's fighting Derek Lewis in his next fight, who
Looks
just
great
lost to
every
the
time he
knockout.
goes out there.
I know, man. It's crazy. All right, we were going to talk about Curtis Blades as well.
Yeah, Curtis Blades is another guy where I feel like he needs to evolve a little bit if he's going to be
Yes.
in the contention, because stylistically, he might match up really well versus someone or not so well because he's a specialist, in my opinion.
Hmm.
He can strike, but his wrestling is what people are actually worried about.
Right.
So I would say evolve that striking game a little bit. And he might be a little bit better off.
Honestly,
It's gonna be it's gonna be tough to see him in competition striking with Francis Ngannou, who's
yeah, he
getting better
can't do
every
that.
fight.
He's been finished by him twice. He can't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think his striking has come along a little bit. Like, I think his wrestling has fallen off a little bit from it though. Like, he couldn't take Junior Dos Santos down. He ended up finishing him on the feet. But and then his last fight with Rosenstrike, he's closing his eyes and like shelling and shooting. He's not as technical with it as he used to be. But then look at his Derek Lewis fight. His striking looked incredible. And then he telegraphed a shot and I
Got
feel
caught.
like he needs to work on tying it all together, like a Frankie
Yeah.
Edgar was able to do, or like a GSP was able to do, and he could be a real problem for everyone.
It's interesting that you say that because on Facebook I follow Derek Lewis or not Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades,
Me
and
too.
I noticed that he said that he was going to be beating GSP's takedown record easily, and that he'll completely smash it, because he had recently fought, I don't remember who it was, and he had gotten a ton of takedowns.
Actually, think about it. He does have the most heavy. He is the most prolific takedown artist in heavyweight history.
They were all
Said.
from from the same fights though. Like he was taking down someone who couldn't stop
He
his
took
takedown
Volkov down a
over and over
lot.
and over. So like I commented on his post and I said you got a lot of takedowns so far, and you have really good wrestling, but a lot of these guys in the top 10 and in the top 5 particularly are very hard to take down, and you might be lucky to get one or two of them in a fight just because of how good their takedown defense is. And he disagreed, and he said that he was easily going to dominate everyone in the heavyweight division with his wrestling, and that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Dude.
And once he stepped up in competition, the takedowns were obviously they're still there, and he can take down anyone in the heavyweight division, but he's not getting 10, 15 takedowns a fight anymore.
That's so crazy that you say that, because that reminds me, he actually argued with me about something online. It was something Tyron Woodley said about racism. And I was like, dude, racism barely exists. Stop watching the fucking news and you won't see it. And he got in an argument with me over it or whatever. And then I don't know what deferred the conversation, but I asked him something like about his striking or whatever. And he said that he was 3-0 in amateur kickboxing. That's
wow.
some news.
He does move in and out really sharp.
Yeah.
He bounces and he feints his whole body kind of. And he goes like this, and you kind of don't know when he's coming in, but he just got to get rid of some of the hesitation that you would expect to get after you get clipped by Ngannou. You know,
exactly.
makes
It's
you
the
think.
hesitation. You're definitely right. All right, the last heavyweight I got on here. Do you have any more heavyweights?
That's pretty much it for my heavyweights.
Okay, cool. I got Tom Aspinall for my last one, and honestly, I think he's got more potential than anybody that we mentioned that isn't in the top 5, anyways. This kid is for real,
He's
man.
He's most also, beginner prospect.
Yeah, he's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he is not. He's 11-2. He's now 4-0 in the UFC with 4 finishes, 3 in the first round. His striking is so good. He's got really good hooks, really good straight punches. He's an undefeated boxer as well. His knees are vicious. His elbows are vicious. Man, like I think he's got a super, super bright future in the sport, and he is also only 28 years old.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his season of The Ultimate Fighter. I thought that was a really fun one to watch.
Tom Aspinall was on The Ultimate Fighter?
I'm pretty sure if that's who I'm thinking of.
Well, that would be so
right.
crazy.
Check it out real quick. I might have a name mixed up, but I'm pretty sure he's a grappler, right?
He is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, yeah.
He was on the heavyweight season, I think. They had men and women. Maybe?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna check. You know what? I have it mixed up. My bad.
Yeah, some other English dude, probably.
There's another heavyweight that has a similar last name to Espinal. and he
Oh,
was
Juan
like,
Espino, the
yes,
Ultimate
yes,
Fighter winner. Yeah,
my bad.
it's all good.
I thought you were bringing him up. I actually am a big fan of him. I don't see
No,
him. I don't know if he's in the UFC still
Juan
or
Espino, yeah, he is. He
he
doesn't
is,
fight very often at all, but yeah, he is. He is a grappler too. You're right.
and
He's
he's
a
a
very
specialist.
good
He'll match up
grappler.
good against some guys, I think.
Yeah, man, he's pretty old, but I mean, a lot of heavyweights are. I wish he would fight a little more often, man, because he is. He's a really good fighter.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to light heavyweight. Who is your first one on the list?
One sec, I gotta go back to my list. I just lost it now.
All right, I'll mention one here. Yuri Prochazka. This kid is so good. He's only 28 years old too. He's a rising champion. He's a GFC champ or GCF champion rather. He's 28-3 with 25 knockouts, 27 finishes. He's 2-0 in the UFC with 2 performance of the nights. 2 knockouts over Volkan Ozdemir and Dominic Reyes, 2 former title challengers, both early in the second round.
Yeah.
This dude is for real. I think
Yeah, how do you not love Jerry Prochazka?
he's one of my favorite fighters now, man. He really is.
Yeah, he's exciting to watch. He hits really hard. He's unorthodox. He's one of those guys that I feel like people are either going to win a lot of money on or lose a lot of money on because
Yeah,
you
he
can't really
doesn't.
put your finger on how he's going to perform against someone until they're in there because
Mhm.
it's so unorthodox.
It's so unorthodox, and his defense is not tight. He baits people in with his chin, and honestly, it's worked out really
His
well
head
for him.
movement is fair, but he doesn't block a lot.
Yeah, there's a couple times it hasn't worked out for him. Luckily, he has a good chin, but he's been knocked out a couple
Tough.
times.
He's a dog.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see his future. Honestly, dude, like we were talking about it, I want to see him and Johnny Walker so bad, but Johnny Walker just isn't what he used to be anymore. Like Johnny Walker before he fought Corey Anderson versus Yuri right now would be fucking sick.
Yeah. Johnny Walker kind of let go of some of his biggest strengths, I think, in his last
He
fight.
did. He's
really
not confident anymore, man. Look how he fought Thiago Santos. Thiago isn't confident anymore either, but
I was really
man,
thinking
man.
him versus Jiri would be a really good fight.
Me too.
And I was edging Jiri to win it slightly, but now I really think that Jiri would beat him by TKO or
Yeah,
KO.
me too, for sure. Because Walker, out of his 18 wins, 14 are knockouts. Out of Yuri's 28, 25 are like it, dude. And they have such a similar style. They're both very different too with the strikes they throw. But how unorthodox they are, how flashy they are, how athletic they are, how hard they hit with every limb. It's man, that would have been such a good fight.
Is Alexander
Yep.
Rakic, is he matched up with Jiri?
No, I don't believe so.
I thought he was matched up with somebody.
He was actually my next name on the list. Alexander Rakic is a fucking prodigy, dude. No, his last 2 fights haven't looked very good, but he's fighting. No, he doesn't have a fight coming up. His last 2 fights went to decisions. They were both really boring over Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith. Before that, he went 4-1 in the UFC. His only loss was to Volkan Ozdemir by split decision, a fight he could have very easily gotten the nod in. Other than that, his only losses in his first ever fight. He's arguably on a 15-fight win streak right now.
Yeah,
and
he's a beast too.
Number 3. He's 29. He's so well-rounded.
Yeah.
How do you see his future going?
I feel like he's a hard matchup kind of for anybody. Like no one's gonna beat him easily. I don't see him necessarily beating everyone in the top 10, but
I don't right now, but I could see it in the next few years.
He's gonna keep growing and getting better and better. Really, what I would like to see, even though Jiri is ranked a little bit higher, but I feel like it's still kind of early for Jiri to quite get that title shot. I'd like to see him versus someone with experience.
Him and Rakic would be sick.
That would be sick, and also him versus Anthony Smith.
Because first off, Racic's last 2 fights were boring. You know him and Jiri ain't gonna be boring. And yeah, you know Jiri and Anthony Smith wouldn't be boring either. Fuck yeah,
Anthony Smith is trying to make a statement right now, and I have to take back what I was said before. I thought that he was kind of gonna go on a down spin. He just doesn't seem physically. He seems like he's just aging.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought
he's been through a lot of wars, man. He's been beat down a lot.
Yeah, but now you're starting to see like his experience over some of the younger guys, and I feel like that's a factor. I feel like him versus Jiri would potentially be a war.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. It'd be great. See, I want to see Jiri and Jan really bad, but I wouldn't be upset to see him fight once more either. I would
Yeah,
be upset if he lost it, but
yeah,
I wouldn't be upset to see him fight once more either. It'd be great. It's another performance we get, man.
absolutely.
You know, the thing about light heavyweight, everybody was bitching about it like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago because John Jones was so dominant, and then it came to a point we didn't even have him 2 or 3 different times. And all the legends, all the, they went out of their prime within like the same 2 year span.
Yeah,
But people are still complaining about it, and they have been over the last couple of years. But since like 2, 3 years ago, there are so many straight up prodigies at light heavyweight right now that have the potential to be the pound for pound best in the world in the next 5 years. The next one I have on here is Magomed Ankalaev. He's 15-1. He is also only 29 years old. He's a multiple time world champion as an amateur in MMA. He's a multiple time Sambo champion. His striking is so crisp and so slick. How do you see his future going? Because I would really love for this guy to win a belt. His only
well,
loss
going back
also,
to what you were saying, since John Jones has kind of left, the belt is essentially still in my eyes up for grabs
it's been
because,
kind of it's been tossed around.
and I feel like the way the division sits is the belt is essentially up for grabs. No
I think so.
one, the way that everyone matches up, I feel like any of these guys could lose to almost any of these guys at any time,
Mm-hmm.
with an exception of a couple guys. But I feel like this belt could potentially be passed around a little bit, and it's going to be based off of styles because I don't
Yeah.
think these guys are going to be as dominant as John Jones as a champion. But I feel like a lot of these guys have potential to touch the belt for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah, they have the potential to touch the belt for sure, and some of them would have the potential to defend it. I guess it depends on how much they evolve, right? But
Yeah,
Magomed, I said he's 15-1. His only loss is to Paul Craig, who he beat for 14 minutes and 50 seconds. Literally, like at 4:50 of the third round, Paul Craig wrapped up a triangle and got the tap at 4:59 of the round. Magomed mauled him that whole time.
yeah,
That's his only loss.
yeah. You can't call off the bear Jew ever. You
No,
know,
man, I
on the
love Paul
fight.
Craig. I'm glad he did it, man, because I mean,
He
Magomed could
needed it.
afford the loss, and I love Paul Craig. He's so fun to watch, man. He's a straight up wizard on the mat.
Yeah, absolutely.
He belongs up there with like Brian Ortega and Charles Oliveira as far as offensive jiu-jitsu fighters, because he's as dangerous
Yeah,
as anybody off his fucking back, dude.
that's true. And he's I feel like he's one of those guys that are also just going to be a tough fight for
Hmm.
anyone. Even like you can't count him out of anything. He was going to be dangerous to the last second, just like you were saying
Yeah,
with the Magomed ankle off fight.
I really would love for Paul Craig to win the belt, honestly, but I don't think he's going to.
Me either. There's just too much tough competition.
Yeah, there's too much. Next up is Jimmy Crute.
I
No,
was about to bring that up.
this guy I actually think is going to win the belt. Like all these guys have the chance to, I think everybody we mentioned to this point, I think has the chance to. I think Jimmy Crute is going to. Like he's 25 years old. He's 12-2. His only losses are to Misha Serkinov. He got submitted by him because Serkinov's a wizard on the ground too. And Crute also submitted Paul Craig. And then his only other loss is because of an injury. So, I mean, he was getting picked apart in that fight, but it was a back and forth fight with Anthony Smith. It was really good.
Right.
This dude is so good everywhere, man. He hits so hard. His grappling is so good. His wrestling is great. He's strong as shit. What do you think? What do you think happens in the next 10 years or so?
I think that I'll be sold on Jimmy Crute when he faces another long rangy elite dangerous striker. So if I saw him against Ajiri, even Irachi,
He's fighting
Irachi,
Jamal Hill. He's a lanky striker. Is that enough?
that's Jamal Hill is.
He's a prospect. He's not a contender.
I don't know if he's as dangerous as someone like Jiri, but Jiri is a
Oh, he's
lot
definitely not as
further up.
dangerous.
Jiri is a lot further up and
Yeah,
than
definitely
Crute.
more
So
dangerous.
that's looking into the future a little bit. But I'm looking at it from a matchup standpoint. I kind of want to see him versus an experienced rangy guy.
Well, he fought Anthony Smith in his last fight.
Him versus Johnny Walker would be a good one right
Ooh,
now.
that'd be a good one too. Yeah. I think he's probably gonna beat Jamal Hill. So I
Yeah,
think him and Johnny Walker would be a good fight, even though Walker's coming off a loss. I think Crute would knock him off so easily.
I think Crute beats Hill fairly dominantly.
Yeah, me too. And then I think Hill might go on a little bit of a run because that would be his second loss in a row, and he's got a lot of real
He
potential.
could face Paul Craig. He could face Johnny Walker too.
Yeah, Jamal Hill and Johnny Walker would be good because Jamal Hill is actually 30 years old. Like he's not as young as we think. He's only 8-1. He got submitted by Paul Craig in his last fight. But yeah, I got one more name for light heavyweight. Do you have any others?
No.
Okay. You might not know who this guy is because he fought in the UFC once in November of 2019, and he won a very, very close decision over someone who's lost a few fights since. But his name is Shamil Gamzatov. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's 14-0. He's a multiple-time world champion in amateur MMA and combat sambo, and he's got all the potential in the world. I felt he deserved a shout out. I want to see him get back in there.
Right.
Who do you got for middleweight?
All right, let's see. Well, I feel like a little bit ago we would have been well, not a little bit ago, a few years ago we would have been potentially talking Darren Till right now.
Yeah.
Or we would have been talking Kevin Gastelum. We might have even been talking Uriah Hall. I'm not thinking those names anymore.
Me. It's sad, man. I just don't see it for Darren. I mean, it could happen. It could, but
he's
he
just a
hasn't evolved.
middle mix of welterweight and middleweight that makes it difficult for him. He's a difficult fighter at middleweight, depending on the style, and it's hard to make welterweight.
He shouldn't have dived right into the deep end. I was pissed about the Kelvin Gastelum matchup, even though he won that fight, and I didn't think he was going to. It's like he should not have dove right into the deep end. He just got finished twice after going 17-0 to 17-2. Like, right.
I think that the real names to be brought up, and it might not be a crazy exciting conversation because we kind of already know, but I think that potentially Marvin Vettori obviously brings a good pace, and he's a tough fight for anybody as well. He's one of those hard knock wrestlers who are just hard to beat. Like, a lot of guys might be able to beat him, but he's tough to beat. So I think he's a potential hard matchup for anyone if anyone is the champion, if it changes even. Robert Whitaker is the main guy. I don't see as much hype in this as a lot of other people do. A lot of other people think this is going to be a completely different fight. I think it might be slightly different in the beginning.
Rematch?
Israel and Robert.
Yeah,
I think that it'll be a little bit different in the beginning, but in the end, I think things will slowly work themselves out to be in the similar situation to where they were before.
Yeah, I think that the result is I think Israel wins, but I definitely think that Robert puts up a better fight. Robert Whitaker has never fought like he fought Israel in his life.
He's got to go to the ground a little.
He just charged in blindly. He didn't use his footwork or not. I've never seen him fight like that.
The reach difference is insane for that.
He was coming off a long time away too, and I think we've been shown what an active Robert Whitaker can do. But yeah, I still think Israel's probably better than him. But he can definitely beat him, dude. Robert Whitaker's no joke.
And Paul Acosta,
he could, depending on who evolves a little bit.
Yes, if he evolves a little bit, and maybe if the belt changes hands at some point, he might match up better. Like, he would match up better with Whitaker than Adesanya because of just the physique.
I think so. Reach. I really wish he didn't pull out of that fight. I would have so much rather seen him fight him than Kelvin.
Yeah, would have been awesome.
Yeah, dude. How about Edmund Shabazian? He's still only 23 years old. Yet,
but he's very, very technical and very talented.
He's got all the potential in the world. He's still got like 8-10 years before he'll be in his prime.
Do you know how actually heavy he is? Like, big?
I mean, he probably walks around like 210, I would think, 220 maybe.
I think so.
Yeah,
because he always struck me as like not extremely strong for his division.
Well, he's not a grappler, so I mean that makes sense.
In a way, he kind of reminds me of, and not that Darren Till isn't strong, but he almost reminds me of the way they, like, when they're both at being themselves and fighting like themselves, they kind of remind me of each other.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, He's 11-2. He debuted in the UFC with 7-0 or 8-0. He won his first few fights, and then he lost to Derek Brunson, and then he lost to Jack Hermanson. Two very big steps up in competition. But he almost finished both of them multiple times in the first round of those fights. He just got tired. All he's got to do is make a couple adjustments, and he's a karate black belt. His striking is so good. I think
That's
he's
what
got
it
a
is.
very
Him
bright
and Darren
future.
Till both have really good straight punches. They have
Yeah,
really
that'd be a good
powerful,
fight, honestly.
really right down the pipe, explosive straight punches.
Yeah.
That's why they remind me of each other.
Dude, I would love to see that, honestly. Like, that's the type of fight that Darren should have got when he went up to
Yep.
middleweight.
He's
You know what I
chasing
mean?
that money, and they're feeding off of his name.
Yeah, bro. Like, it's just not good. No, he went from 17-0 to 18-4, getting finished in 3 of those. Like, bro, it's just not good. And I think Darren needs to evolve a little bit. He's got that cross, he's got that jab cross or that little cut jab that he throws and then the cross behind it. But really, what other punches does he have? He's got kicks.
When he
How
gets in
often?
close, he throws like weird hooks, but his
Yeah, that
trajectory
happens
is
every
also
once in a while. I
yeah.
mean, I don't ever see him throw anything else. It's kind of like Connor now. Like he didn't really evolve because everybody was scared of the cross before, but now he can't set it up anymore. They're used to it.
Yeah.
All right, so this one kind of goes for middleweight and welterweight, and he's a lot like Shabazian because he's very unproven. But Hamzat Chimaev, I think he definitely has the potential of making his way up the rankings if he gets back in there and continues doing what he was doing, because he was a champion before coming over and he was fucking people up before he came over, just like he has been. How do you see this going? Oh, also, he is a champion in wrestling at like 200 pounds, which is just remarkable. It's like 3 weight classes or 4 above. I don't even know the wrestling weight
We're
class.
talking about Chimaev or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wrestled in heavier weight classes. He's got titles in like 4 wrestling weight classes. It's crazy.
He
For
may be one of the
Sweden
most
and
well-rounded guys in the division right now.
yeah, for Sweden and Chechnya. It's
And
remarkable.
he obviously hits hard as hell. And he has good he's technical everywhere.
He really is, dude. It's fucking crazy.
And he's
only
not just
9-0.
technical, he's also a risk taker with explosiveness.
Yeah.
But his
He just
defense is
really
also
is.
good. He puts himself out there, but he defends himself well, and people can't stop his offense.
Yeah, agreed, man. I'm super, man. I was so sad that when he got COVID, and then
Now
he
he's
hasn't
having
fought.
hearing problems.
Yeah, he fought 3 times in, what was it, 66 days, and then he hasn't fought since. But yeah, hopefully he doesn't have any ring rust and he continues doing his thing because I really love watching him.
Same.
First welterweight I got is Miguel Beza. No, he's 29 years old. He's 10-1. He just lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio, but he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and his striking is very crisp and he hits really hard. Again, he's not going to win the belt right now, but in a couple years, I could definitely see him challenging for it at the least.
I think welterweight is interesting because I feel like people that are underperforming now later just have surges. Like
Oftentimes.
Like I feel like Stephen Thompson was falling off a little bit before, but I feel like he could just surge back into this at any time.
Yeah, kind of like he did like a year or 2 ago with Luke and who was it? He beat Luke and fucking somebody.
The only thing that he has problems with in the welterweight division, I think, is going to be some of the good wrestlers, but he might be able to threaten enough with the striking to kind of slow the pace of the pressure in the wrestling like he did when he was with Tyron.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how he would match up against a guy like Kobe Covington. But Kobe Covington versus Stephen, if he fought a Kobe Covington fight, but what if, because he's so unorthodox that
he might be able to land a head kick
like himself? It's
possible.
It's one of those ones where you haven't seen Kobe against someone that just dances like him.
Yeah, karate guy. We haven't seen him against a karate guy at all. I guess Wonder Boy is that guy that can beat literally anybody on any given night. That's a good
it depends how he matches up.
I mean, I think he could land a strike against about anybody at 170 pounds.
Oh, for sure. He can hurt anyone in the division. His kicks are fast enough to
57-0 in kickboxing, 20-0 as a pro, 37-0 as an amateur. It's remarkable. He's got like 2 karate black belts, an American kickboxing black belt.
Or Stephen Thompson versus Michael Chiesa would be cool right now.
That would be cool. They're both coming off losses. Yeah, that would be a good one. And they're both like between 5 and 10, I believe.
Yeah, and I also think I think that Gilbert Burns is still right up there.
Yeah.
He's a tough fight for anyone except for
is.
Kamaru. I
I
think
think
Kamaru.
Kamaru and Colby beat him, but I think Leon beats him too. But he could beat Colby and Leon, honestly. I
Yeah,
don't think he
Leon,
would,
I'm
but
not
he
sure. I
could.
wanna see how his next fight is because he kind of played it safe and then got caught at the end.
Yeah, I want to see Burns and Masvidal. That would be good. But Masvidal's
Yeah,
fighting Leon, I think. Or actually,
that
that's
would
not
be
even
really good.
known.
And Masvidal is always in and out of trying to get these money fights, and
Yeah.
who knows? I don't even know if he's really going to be shooting for the stars for the title anymore. I
Well,
think
they
he's
both
just
just got knocked off, so
yeah, I think he's going to be trying to fight people like the Paul brothers or like as big of a name as he can. Maybe he'll fight Stephen Thompson in a rematch. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah. That would be very interesting to see now.
Yeah, or like I know this is a big step down for Jorge Masvidal, but I would like to see this for Li Jingliang. I'd like to see Li
Ooh.
fight
Oh
Masvidal.
yeah, he's actually fighting Hamzat. Li Jingliang is. But yeah, Jingliang and Masvidal would be fucking sick.
Interesting. Yeah.
Two very good boxers that throw
They're
decent
they're
kicks
pretty
too.
far apart right now, but that's a fight that would be interesting to watch for sure. And
Well, what if the
Santanigo Ponzinibbio is underrated quite a bit as
Yeah,
a
he's very underrated. I thought he fell off a little bit after he was forced to take like 2 years off or 2.5 years off, and then he came back and lost to somebody.
yeah.
But then he beat Beza, and it was like, you still look pretty damn good, man. That's
He
fucking dope.
extends so far with his punches, like
He's got really good striking. He's got
he
really good
reaches
boxing and some
so
good kicks
far,
behind
like
it.
he extends fully with his shoulder. Like and every straight that he throws, watch him again and you'll notice like he just reaches halfway across the cage with his straights. It's
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. He really steps in really far and gets that full reach in his shoulder.
Yeah. How
I'm a
about
fan of
you?
Ponzinibbio.
You might not know who this is, but Shavkat Rakhmonov.
I don't
He's
think so.
he's 14-0. He was a champion before coming over to the UFC. In his two UFC fights, he submitted Alex Oliveira and Michel Prazeres. So Alex Oliveira is a really good, well-rounded fighter, and Prazeres is like a second-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
And striking is really good too. He hurt. I don't remember which one he hurt before he submitted him, but he hurt one of them before he submitted him. He does everything perfectly. He's got really good wrestling to go along with it. He's only 26 years old, man. I have really high hopes for him. I really think he kind of looks like an Asian, but he's got like he's from Russia or something like that.
Right.
One of those countries over there.
Someone worth mentioning, I think he may not get the title or anything like that, but I feel like has a lot of potential to make some big moves in the division is Sean Brady.
That's so funny. That was the last name I had for welterweight.
Yeah, he's I feel like he has the potential to beat a lot of these
He
guys
does. He's
with
very good,
improvement.
man. He's really well rounded too. He was one that was supposed to fight Kevin Lee before D-Rod came in and took. And honestly, I think that was a worse matchup for Kevin Lee. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He can wrestle. He can strike very well. He's really clean with everything he does. He's very strong. You can tell
He
that just
should
by
fight
looking at
Bilal
him.
Muhammad or
Yeah,
Geoff.
dude. Fuck yeah. He just beat Damian Maia. That'd be a great fight.
Or Geoff Neal.
Yeah, Jeff Neal would be a good fight too. Brady is 28 years old. He's 14-0, just like Rakhmonov is, and he's a CFFC champion before coming over. He's 4-0 in the UFC now. All right, let's start off with lightweights. First up, I think this one is about as obvious as it gets. Islam Makhachev.
Oh
He
yeah.
he just turned 30 years old last month, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, when I turned 25. And he's 20-1. He's a Sambo champion. He didn't win any belts before coming over, but I think he came over at 11-0 or 10-0. He got knocked out by Adriano Martins, who's actually a really good fighter that no one knows. And since then, he's really mauled, and before that as well, he's just mauled everybody so
Yeah.
handily.
Knockouts happen and I don't I feel like that's not as noteworthy that he has been knocked out in the UFC before, because I feel like, granted, if he got the rematch, I feel like it'd be like a
Oh,
GSP
dude, yeah,
Sarah type of situation.
that's exactly
But
what it would be.
he's the real deal. Once we start to see him versus the likes of Chandler, Gaethje or
Gagey.
Poirier, we're
Hmm.
gonna really see if he's gonna be the champion or not, I think. Because
Yeah.
if how he how he fought how he would fight versus Poirier would really be the decider for me. Even though Charles Oliveira is the champion, Dustin Poirier is like the epitome of well-rounded
I think that's who most
lightweight.
people think is the rightful champion is Dustin. So
I feel like he's the most well-rounded lightweight. He's powerful, decent grappler. He's just good all around. And if Islam can beat him the way Khabib did, we'll know that
mhm.
Islam is gonna be the champ.
Yeah, he does things a lot differently than Habib. He has a pretty much the same style, but I mean, his wrestling is different. He uses a lot more trips. He uses a lot more body locks. He doesn't shoot on the legs and then chain them together. His striking is more of distance. It's not hooks and flying knees to get in close. He's staying further apart. He doesn't land very much ground and pound. He's more of a submission guy. But as far as the level of skill, I think he's up there with Habib and Josh Thompson and Daniel Cormier on weighing in, both of which are his or no, it wasn't on weighing in. I watched an interview with the both of them. Both are his teammates. They said he's better than Habib in straight wrestling.
Khabib said that he's the future too. So
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. He's like his prodigy, man. Um, and in his last fight with Thiago Moises, he didn't fight like a guy should have, obviously, because no one is accepting fights with him. But the way he let go with his striking in that fight was really, really good to see. And he's fighting Dan Hooker now because Dan Hooker accepted that fight. So we'll see that later this month.
and I think that we can probably say what's gonna happen in that fight.
Yeah, man.
I personally think that Hooker is gonna find himself again along the cage,
Me
and I
too.
feel like he's gonna get taken down.
I think that's what happens, but I could also see Hooker timing one of those knees up the middle. That's what
Maybe.
I thought was going to happen in the Chandler fight, but Chandler knocked him all. Islam isn't going to do that.
Does
But then
Hooker have
again,
that type of killer instinct though? I think he could maybe hurt him, but he's got to put him away to win this fight.
yeah, he definitely has to put him away to win this fight for sure. Who do you got for lightweights?
Well, there's a long list of people who could be champion at
Yeah, I
lightweight.
agree, man.
We got Dustin Poirier right off the bat. A lot, like you said, a lot of people look at him as the champ. Justin Gaethje can compete with anybody. Uh, Beneil Dariush is kind of a sleeper guy.
He is.
People, I always thought he was really good and well
Me
rounded, but he's
too.
had a couple bumps along the road. But he has the ability to beat anybody at lightweight as well.
Hmm.
He's not going to win a decision versus every single guy that we're bringing up right now, but he has the skills to be able to win versus
Well, if he
anybody.
if he's not winning, he'll just throw right down with you and knock you out. That's what he did in
Give
like
you
the
a
last
chance.
two
Hey,
fights.
he has the epitome of a puncher's chance.
Yeah, man. And he's got a black belt in Muay Thai. He's got a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He's actually a world Jiu-Jitsu champion before he started his MMA career. He's like
Yeah.
right around where I thought he would be. I didn't necessarily think he would be a champion, but I always thought he would be a top 5 guy.
It was a long road to get him here though.
It did. After
It's been
that
a minute,
knockout to Barboza, I didn't think it would happen.
right? But now Barbosa's stock has
That Hernandez
been so
knockout,
high.
actually. Sorry.
Yeah, but the Barbosa fight, I feel like now people think of it as the way Barbosa was.
Yeah, dude, the
And
most
there's
dangerous
no shame in
striker.
losing there.
He's like the most dangerous striker at lightweight of all time.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the most decorated
Yeah.
overall striker.
Connor could have combated that if he would have fought at lightweight more, not boxed Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, true. And
Next
then we
up,
got Michael Chandler.
yeah,
He's
six-time
busting
Bellator
into the
champ.
scene. We'll know more about him the more we see him fight, but I think it's fair to say he's
Who
a
is
contender.
who is he fighting next? He doesn't have a fight book, does he? Actually, duh, he's fighting Justin Gaethje. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah, 6-time World Series of Fighting champion versus 6-time Bellator champion. That's a good fight. And both are knockout artists that
I
don't
was
take
screaming
steps
Justin
backwards.
Gaethje versus Chandler before Chandler was even in the UFC. So
Yeah, dude,
I'm
so
glad
did
they
I,
finally
man.
did that.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, and
Paul,
obviously Islam is I feel like the highest prospect next to Poirier.
yeah, I think
Poirier isn't a prospect, but he's the closest thing to the
he's the
next
number one
champion
contender.
next to
Yeah.
Poirier.
Well, he was the last well, actually, no, Justin Gage was the last interim champion. But then Poirier beat Gagey, so he's kind of like the last interim champion of the division. Grant Dawson just moved up to lightweight, so it's really hard for me to put his name in here. If he was at featherweight, I definitely would have put him in there. I need to see him fight at lightweight more. He
Yeah,
beat Leonardo Santos in his first fight at lightweight, who was undefeated in the UFC. That was really impressive.
and the
He's
guys that train with Kraus are always getting better.
Yeah, dude. I know, man. I know. He's 17-1. He's 5-0 in the UFC. No, he's so dominant. He's almost like Colby Covington. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't get tired. His wrestling is so good. His striking is pretty good. Like, yeah,
yeah,
man. He's got a bright future. He's only 27. Another one I got, Jalen Turner. He is only 26. He's 11-5. Okay. But he fell to 8-5 in like his fourth UFC fight or something. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's finished all of his wins rather. He's 6'3" with a 77-inch reach, and he's getting more dangerous every time we see him, and he's submitting people now. I see a very bright future for him as long as he can keep the distance and keep himself from getting knocked out like he has in the past when he was a
right.
little younger. I think he could definitely have a bright future. He's going to be a tough puzzle to solve for a lot of people
Yeah,
that aren't like Islam, for instance, that they're just going to take him down.
right. Yeah, someone like Hooker might have a good fight with him
Dude, him and Hooker would be sick. He's not ready for that, but that would be really good.
down the road for sure. What do
Yeah,
you think
man.
about Gregor Gillespie?
I almost put his name on here, but after the Kevin Lee loss, and I know he came back and finished Carlos Diego Ferreira since then, but I don't think he really fights often enough.
Yeah, well, I
I
think
could put
that's
him
one
up
we have to
there.
wait and see.
I wanted to see him and Habib, man, so bad. Now I want to see him and Islam. Like, dude, they're the two best wrestlers in the division, but I don't know if he's going to work his way up in order to do that. I really hope so. I really hope so.
I feel like Gregor might be having to take a fight with someone that's below him, maybe like a Brad Riddell or maybe a Tony Ferguson fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Rafael Dos Anjos.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson and Dos Anjos would both be good. Let's see, Gregor Gillespie is someone that wrestled Jordan Burroughs for an NCAA title. Like, he's one of the best wrestlers in the entire sport. And he's got a pace like Colby Covington too. He doesn't stop, and he does get tired, but he just keeps going. He was so exhausted in that last fight, man. He was so exhausted, and he ended up finishing him still.
Right.
It was very impressive. The last one I got on the list of lightweights before we can get to the rest of yours is Arman Saryukin. This is the guy that debuted like 2 years ago in the UFC against Islam Makhachev and actually put up a really good fight against him. He even took him down once. And he's gone 4-0 since then, and none of those fights have been close at all. And he's only 24 years old.
Yeah, that's good promise. Anyone that can hold a candle to Islam is gonna be a
his
problem.
UFC debut of all, like, dude, he's so good. And he,
Yeah.
like Islam, his only loss is by an early KO early in his career, other than his loss to Islam, actually.
I agree on that one. He's very physically strong, and I feel like he's going to be a really well-rounded guy in the division
Yeah, man, he
when he
is.
gets a little more experience.
He's got really good distance striking too. He's really snappy with his head kicks, and his wrestling is damn near second to none. He's got good grappling too. He hasn't really shown off his chokes yet, but I think we'll see him here at some point. Hopefully he doesn't win every fight by decision. But you got any more lightweights to add?
I think that pretty much covers the most of it.
All right, let's get into featherweights. My first up is Arnold Allen.
He's a good fighter. He's I feel like I want to see him fight a few some bigger names.
Yeah, me too, because he's 8-0 in the UFC. The best guy he fought is Sadiq Yusuf.
Right, him versus a Chan Sung Jung would answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, dude, that would be a great fight.
Yeah,
he needs that, man, because he's 17-1 now. He's 8-0 in the UFC. None of those fights have been close either.
It's time for him to take that step up, fight a
Yeah,
Chan Sung Jung, or I mean, Yair is a little bit high ranked, but in my opinion,
he
Yair
shouldn't be. He hasn't
he
fought in
shouldn't be.
forever.
Exactly. Uh, and also I feel like
Same with Zabit.
he just hasn't really earned that spot as much.
Yeah, I agree. Allen
Not
is
that
only
long ago, he was getting ground and pounded really bad by Frankie Edgar, who is
yeah, that was like
not
3 years ago. It wasn't
relevant
long
anymore,
ago.
so
Hmm. Yeah, Arnold Allen's still only 27 years old as well. He's like he's the epitome of TriStar, just a straight up technician everywhere. He almost knocked Sadiq Yusuf out twice too, who's a really thunderous knockout artist. What do you think of Giga Chikadze?
I feel
He,
like Giga Chikadze is kind of like, for me, is the featured guy for this discussion and this topic because
I agree.
he already his skills are already so developed, but he's just breaking into the scene. I see him just ripping through people until he fights someone he just can't beat.
Well,
Which there isn't
maybe
a ton of people. I feel like Chikadze matches up really well against the top five.
he does a lot of them. You'd be
All of
interested to
them.
know that he just signed a fight with Calvin Cater.
Interesting. That's a
Yeah.
fight that I see him winning.
It's a really me too, man. It sucks because I love Calvin Cater. I love boxers, man. They're like my favorite fighters to watch. And Calvin Cater is one of the better boxers in the sport, like pure boxers, anyways.
It's
But
hard to pick Calvin Cater against anyone right now until you
against a
see him
kicker
have
like
a little
that,
success. He took
yeah.
so much damage, and we've seen so many sequences of him getting hit in the
Well, yeah,
face versus
especially
Max
after
Holloway.
he's coming off his fight with Holloway. Yeah,
We kind of got to burn that image out of our brain before I'm going to feel comfortable putting him as a
yeah.
pick. I need
Well,
to see him be successful for a few minutes in the cage before I start to believe a little bit.
yeah. Look at Henan Barral after he fought TJ Dillashaw. Look at Rory McDonald after he fought Robbie Lawler the second time. Like wars change you. That's a very good point. And not to mention, Shikadze has a karate black belt, and he's 38-6 as a pro kickboxer. He's a glory. He was 6-3 in glory. Like,
He's one of the most experienced prospects that we
yeah,
are picking up right now.
he's really, really been impressing me a lot lately because he came to the UFC with a 7-2 record. All of his wins were finishes, and then he won 2 split decisions that were very close. Then he won 2 unanimous decisions. So we were seeing improvements. Now he's coming off 2 finishes.
Right.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited for his future. How about Bryce Mitchell?
That was going to be my honorable mention for this. I don't have a ton of fighters to bring up in this division because I feel like in a way Max Holloway and Volkanovski kind of have a stranglehold on the division.
They do.
And I don't see a ton of people holding a candle, including Yair, Ortega, Jung. I don't see them really beating either of those guys right now. But Bryce Mitchell, I feel like if he evolves a little bit, his ground is as slick. His wrestling isn't as best as the division has seen, but his BJJ is really, really slick. He
Mm-hmm.
works really hard. I follow him on social media a little bit. I feel like he'll be a contender. I won't. He's young. I don't know if he's gonna
Yeah.
be a title, uh, someone who wins a title at any point really, but he'll probably break top 5 at some point,
Right.
and I'll be rooting for him absolutely for sure.
He could win a title, but yeah, I think it's probably more likely to say he just breaks the top 5. But I mean, what a lung burner he is. Like another one. Like he just doesn't get tired. He doesn't stop. And I
Chain
think,
wrestling.
yeah, he showed off his striking. Oh, fuck, it wasn't his last fight. He fought Andre Feeling his last fight. Shit. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. He doesn't.
He matches up really well versus Josh Emmett,
I don't think
Arnold
we've really seen
Allen,
his striking.
Calvin Cater, Chan Sung Jung. I feel like he'd be
Yeah,
able
he
to
can
use some
maul
grappling
those
against
guys.
them. But against maybe even a Max Holloway if he can get him to the ground.
If he can
But
get
like a
him there, yeah.
Volkanovski who's just gonna play it safe and jab him in the face the whole night,
Yeah.
and is physically strong. Oh, that's one thing. Is he Bryce Mitchell has to put on a little bit of muscle, I feel like, to compete
Mhm.
with the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, he is a pretty strong kid, but I
Yeah.
agree. He's
He's not
27.
small, but some extra strength and conditioning for what
Yeah.
getting to guys like Emmett or like eventually if he got to Volkanovski, those guys are going to
Well,
be like bullies to him, in my opinion.
Yeah, Brian Ortega only started doing that after his Max Holloway fight. So I
And
mean,
you can tell, like, he hits hard, but
yeah,
like
you
he's
can.
not a physical specimen. But he hangs in there. So what can I
Hmm.
say?
I think something that Bryce Mitchell does just about better than anybody is he mixes his wrestling and his grappling together,
Yep.
and
He
like
takes your back real well, and he
it's
takes
so
the neck, man.
seamless. Yeah, he's so seamless on the ground, and he doesn't get tired, man.
He actually choked out a deer in the woods when he was hunting one.
I
There's a
believe
story about
that.
it, an interview. It's absolutely insane. Check it out
I
sometime.
love his interviews, man. I love that kid. He's not a
Give me
kid
the camo
anymore,
shorts.
but yeah, man, it's fucked up, man. Give him his camo shorts and give Henry his gold shorts.
I think
And
they did now. Does
did
Bryce
they?
have camo shorts now? I think he does.
Maybe. I don't
Now
know.
we
I
got
don't. I
Venom,
don't think he
so
wore camo shorts in his last fight. Maybe. I'll look at a picture and see. How about Movsar Evloev? He's a former multi-time M1 Challenge bantamweight champ. Now he's a featherweight in the UFC, and he's 15-0, man. He's 5-0 in the UFC. He's got really slick striking. He's got really good wrestling.
yeah, that I mean,
He just mauled Hakeem Dawodu.
not that Bryce wants to really be taking big steps down right now, but that would be interesting fight, him versus Bryce, or maybe
Actually,
him
it
versus
would.
Barbosa.
I wonder what they're ranked at right now.
Bryce is 11 and
Movsar
Avla,
is about there.
he's 13.
Okay, yeah, that'd be
So
fucking
that
great.
makes sense. Or Shane Burgos. But a lot of these guys in the bottom 10 or the from 10 to 15, I feel like they try to break up with a as high of a rank as they can or a bigger name. So a lot of
Yeah,
people are going to be putting the target on Bryce. He's
right.
got a little bit of a name behind him.
Yep.
People like to watch him fight. And then Barbosa is really close. Bryce Mitchell, Barbosa. I know that's a huge step up for Bryce Mitchell with experience. But
I think it's about time. He just beat Andre Fili, so
yeah, in Barbosa's, I feel like if Barbosa lost that fight, it'd be to a rear naked choke to Bryce. So I like
yeah,
that'd be an interesting clash of styles.
might even get twisted.
Could be, yeah.
Last featherweight I have is Aaliyah Taporia. No, he's only 11-0. He's 3-0 in the UFC. But this kid, kind of like Juan Espino, he's from Spain, and he is about as good of a grappler as you can find, especially for his age. Like he's
Right.
only, I don't know if I just said it or not. He's 24 years old. Like he's so young, he's so good already. He's coming off 2 KO victories over Damon Jackson, who just won like an hour ago. And fuck, who was the next one? Ryan Hall, who no one wanted to fight forever and was undefeated in the UFC. He's coming off KO victories over both of them. And his grappling, as I just said, is incredible. He almost submitted Yusuf Zalal so many times in his UFC debut, which is his only decision on his record. And he gutted through a lot like you did. He was so tired and he gutted through it, just like you did in
Yeah.
the fall fight. So I'm very impressed with him, man. I honestly, he's another one I think is going to become champion someday.
Yeah, he just needs to get some activity under his belt.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can't wait to see what's next from him, man. You got any more featherweights to add?
Pretty much. I only had a couple to mention in that, and then an honorable mention because, like I said, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway look like they're pretty hard to beat right now.
Yeah, yeah. For the next like 3 years, I see those two being the champion. Yeah.
Agreed.
All ball 135. Do you think Sean O'Malley is gonna win a UFC belt?
I mean, it's hard to say how he's going to go against the top flight competition when we really haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we really haven't. The best guy we saw fight is Marlon.
Wineland, we showed that he didn't, skip a beat for that, and Wineland had
Mm-hmm.
10 times the experience as him. So,
Yeah, he's a former world champion. He's not what he
yeah,
used to be, but yeah.
he's definitely not what he used to be, and he's definitely an old school fighter, but I wouldn't have expected that outcome from the outside looking in before that fight.
Really?
I
I
didn't
thought
expect it to be that fast of a knockout. I thought that
well, yeah,
Wineland's tough. I thought that he would eat
he is.
some damage, maybe try to get some takedowns, but
I thought it was a bad fight for him because he's always held his hands low. He's always had very good head movement, but I think Sean just hits too quick. He's too precise, and I thought that was a really bad fight for him.
He's so sharp. It's just unbelievable.
He really is. He's like a Conor McGregor 2.0, dude. He knows how to turn his knuckles and pivot his feet at just the right time to make his punches sting rather than thud. You know what I mean?
And he
So
rolls
instead of like
around like with an
impact,
Ali style.
yeah,
Like
they
he's shuffling and you know doing all that versus marching someone down.
yeah, and he does it from both stances too, and he's just as dangerous with his kicks as his
He
punches.
is from better angles than Connor too.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like he's a Conor McGregor 2.0.
Connor walks you down and will look you right in the eyes and just straight up fool you.
Mm-hmm.
And O'Malley is over here. I'm over here.
Yep.
I'm over here. You know, so it's a
O'Malley's
little
one of
bit
the
different.
smartest fighters there is, I think, especially with striking.
I feel like he's one of the smartest fighters in the division. Period. He
Yeah.
understands that his grappling isn't where these other guys are. He's one of those guys that probably understand the game very well,
Yeah,
but
he gets
knows.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets it to the point where he knows where he's at and he stays where he's strong.
Mm-hmm.
He probably has a little bit more submissions than we give him credit for, because he's on his feet so much.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's on the bottom,
He
uh,
does say his jujitsu is a lot better than we think.
yeah, when he's on the bottom, he's trying to get up, but I feel like he probably has a little bit more than people give him credit for. He gets better every fight. Um, he's gonna keep getting better. He's gonna match up really well with a lot of these guys in the top 10.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Once he steps up and ends up doing that, I think he's fighting somebody. He's fighting Brian Kelleher, which is not a ranked guy, but he's a very, very
Bigger
good
name.
fighter.
Yeah, a name that people remember a little bit. There's a
Yeah,
ton of
he
fighters that
knocked
I
some
really
people
want to
off.
see.
He submitted some people.
Yeah, for sure.
Kelleher's a
There's a lot of
finisher, dude.
matchups that I'm looking forward to with O'Malley.
Mhm.
I'd like to see him fight. Obviously, Marlon Vera again would be kind of cool.
I would like to
Dominic
see that
Cruz,
too.
Marlon Moraes would be an
Because
amazing fight with
that would be
O'Malley.
great. Well, Vera's his only loss, and it was barely a loss. So, and he was looking better than ever before he got hurt. He was
Yeah,
looking so good, like better than he did in his last fight.
yeah. And
So, yeah.
I think that he would love to take a fight against someone like Frankie Edgar at this point in Frankie's career.
Oh,
He'd beat
yeah.
him in
He
a
wants to
similar
fight
way to
Dominic
Wineland, I
Cruz.
think.
So, yeah, I think he wants a legend. Yeah, he's calling out Dominic Cruz. So, I think he would like Frankie Edgar too, probably.
Frankie Edgar, Cody Garbrandt, even Jose Aldo, I feel like would be a good fight with him, and it'd
Dude,
be
that
a
would be so
huge test
interesting.
because those leg kicks, man.
Dude, that reminds me of the Connor fight. Like, because all those leg kicks could make the difference in that fight, but so could O'Malley's straight punches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the same fucking
And
fight.
O'Malley likes to dance around at range, and Connor steps into punching range. He like crowds you kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes,
And then he'll
I mean,
step
now they
back
do
when
the
you
low
come
calf
in.
kick, and they can kind of do that in a fairly close range. But I feel like people are scared to like kick at Connor because he's just marching forward constantly.
Right. Yeah. How about Rob Font?
One of the best jabs in MMA.
Agreed. Some of the best boxing in MMA too. He's Calvin Cater's teammate, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. But yeah, he's a really, really good fighter. The way he just outboxed Cody like that. And I kind of expected that too. I expected him to win that fight because he's longer. But Cody's 32-1 as an amateur boxer, man. Like he could have had a real career in boxing if he wanted it.
Right.
And he just beat his ass for 5 rounds on the feet. Actually, like for 4 of those rounds on the feet. But yeah, dude, he could his last 4 fights, all right. His last loss was to Rafael Sunso, who he would just fucking kill now. And since then, he's won 4 straight. Sergio Pettis, no, the Bellator bantamweight champion. If he was in the UFC, he could be the flyweight champion, maybe.
Right.
Ricky Simone, who is an LFA champion. Marlon Moraes, 6-time World Series of Fighting champion. And
Big
Cody
deal.
Garbrandt, UFC champion. Those are his last 4 wins. Like,
Yeah.
that's really impressive.
Rob Font would, I think, match up stylistically well versus Peter Yan, just the way that their styles clash.
Yeah, dude, I want
I
to see
feel like
that.
he would have trouble against a TJ Dillashaw or a Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah, I think Corey's the next name I have up here because he's right up there too.
He might
But
be the guy.
I think he and Font would be really good because I think Corey's I don't know. His MMA boxing, I'd say, is kind of underrated. He's not a typical boxer. Like Font's hands are better, but the way Corey can throw his hands as straight punches, especially, and then all the kicks he has added in with it.
He's rangy.
Corey's another guy kind of like O'Malley. Like his
Yep.
striking is just on another fucking level, man. He is just too precise. His footwork is too good. He strikes from both angles. or both stances rather. Yeah, man. I definitely think Corey's gonna win a belt at some point. And I
Yeah,
can't wait to
absolutely.
see him fight Peter Yan. I can't fucking wait for that fight.
I almost look at him in my eyes as like the interim champ.
Corey
Yeah,
and Peter as the undisputed champ.
basically. I'm honestly,
Oh,
I honestly don't have a champion in my head because
me
yes,
either.
Sterling didn't win the belt, but Peter
Peter
Yan,
didn't lose it.
yeah, but at the same time, uh, there's rules for a reason. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like they almost both took an L on that.
Yeah, they did. But I mean, Peter Yan's corner told him to throw it. And I know that doesn't make it okay, but I just feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, it's a terrible turn of events.
It really was. How about Merab Dvalishvili?
He's gonna match up really well with a lot of guys.
Yeah, dude, I think so.
A lot of guys like Corey Sandhagen problems, I think, because
Oh, dude,
of how,
honestly, he could maul Corey or he could get clipped.
yeah, that's the thing. Some guys I feel like Marab would have a tough time with. Some guys he would dominate. Like
Yeah,
Marab versus Jose, awesome fight.
I think Jose would actually win that one
I
if it
hope
was
I
three
hope so. I
rounds.
like to see Jose keep winning, but I feel like it looks like there like that'd be a good fight for Marab just because Jose has a big name and he's ranked one above him. So it'd
Yeah,
be
it
like
would be, especially if it was a
a
main
big
event. If
plus in his the credit towards his name. He's fought bigger names,
Yeah, I think that if that's a 5 round fight, if it's a main event, that Merab definitely takes it. But if it's 3 rounds, I think Aldo would because I think it would look a lot like the Marias fight. But I don't know. I don't think Aldo would have only 2 rounds of fight in him. He's never been finished inside of 2 rounds except by Connor. And Merab is not a powerful hitter like that. He's nowhere near as technical as him on the feet. But he could definitely, I don't know, man. All those takedown defense is really, really high level too. It'd be
Depends
hard to
how much
see.
damage Aldo does on the feet.
Yeah, if he fought with leg kicks, I'd definitely favor him.
Right.
How about Jack Shore? This kid's only 26 years old. He's a Cage Warriors champion. He's 15-0 now, 4-0 in the UFC. He's as dominant and technical as they come to. He's Welsh. It's an interesting fact. There's not too many Welsh fighters, but I think he's definitely going to at least make it into the top 3 or 4 in his future.
I really a few years ago, maybe a little longer than a few years ago, I guess, but a while back, the person I would have been screaming in this would have been Marlon Moraes.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was going to beat Henry.
I was telling people, mark my words, he's going to be the champ, and he worked his way all the way up, and then the bright lights kind of shut him down, I think.
It sucks, man.
Yeah.
Because think about it, his UFC debut, he didn't lose since he was like 7-4 or something. Then he debuted in the UFC at 18-4 or 19-4. He lost a split decision to Rafael Sunsao that he could have easily won. Then he won a split decision against John Dodson. And then he got 3 first-round finishes against Aljamain Sterling, who's the champion, Jimmy Rivera, who was like 21-1. Both of which were champions elsewhere. And then he submitted to Sunsao after almost knocking him out, avenging that loss. Like he was as dangerous as they got, and he was he looked unbeatable. He really did. And then after the first round of his fight with Henry Cejudo, yeah, he really looked unbeatable.
Yeah, for sure.
How about Umar Nurmagomedov? This dude is pretty sound everywhere too. He's only fought once or twice in the UFC so far, but everybody has really, really high hopes for him.
I mean, wrestling, especially like Russian wrestling, is really taking over a lot of these divisions.
Yeah, I always thought it would. I think Africans will too because they're just
they're
just
have such
more
great
athletic than
genetics.
us. Yeah. Once more Africans learn, I think they're going to take over divisions too. But how about Adrian Yanez? He is early in his UFC career as well, but he's 3-0 with 3 knockouts. I don't know if he's a future champ or not, but I'm really excited to see his future too.
I don't see a ton of future champs in the bottom from rank like 6 down. I feel like a lot of these guys are like we got Cody Garbrandt, so
He's not winning a belt.
things aren't really looking that great right now for him.
Not
He
at
can win.
135 anyway.
Yeah, he can win fights, but he's not looking like the best guy out there right now. And then right under him, we got Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munoz, Marlon Moraes, and Dominic Cruz, and then Rafael Assunção. So
Yeah,
it's
none of
like
them are winning belts.
these are all people that are starting to diminish as far as their career goes. I hate to say, but I don't see them necessarily fighting for the belt. The only person I might eat my words on for this is Cody Garbrandt, just because he has that name. They seem to
Mhm.
kind of jump him in lists pretty
Yeah,
quick.
if he goes down to flyweight and wins a fight, and all
Yeah,
of it's coming
wins
off
a
a
fight,
loss.
he's instantly in for title contention.
Yeah, he was going to get an immediate title shot because he wasn't coming off a loss when that fight was signed. But yeah, I don't think that's a great move for him. Really, I think he should go to a different organization. But
Yeah, that's fair to say.
how about for flyweights?
A little interesting when you get to flyweight,
I think
because
so
there's so
too.
many people just starting to
Mhm.
test themselves and to show who they are as fighters.
Yeah. I
I
got.
would say Brandon Moreno was the guy that we were gonna
I always
say
thought he
before
would
he
win a
beat
belt too.
Figueiredo,
Yep.
but now Figueiredo is the guy that it's not beyond him to beat Moreno in a rematch,
No,
but I
it
think
isn't.
that Moreno would take it.
He won
I
that
feel,
first fight.
yeah,
So I mean, he would have if he didn't fucking kick Moreno in the balls in the fourth round anyway.
yeah, and I think that
As hard as
Moreno
he
is one of
did.
those guys though that is improving faster than his opponents are every fight, and I feel like
He is, dude.
after his rematch with Figueiredo, I'm starting to see like once he gets a glimpse of what you have to bring to the table, his fight IQ is like stupid good.
Dude, yeah,
So
Brandon Moreno was a champion before coming over to the UFC because you remember he was on the Ultimate Fighter that season of champions. That was one of my
Yep.
favorite seasons. That was such a great season. But he was already a champion. He had 3 title defenses with that belt too. It was the WFF belt. It was a Mexican title. And
yeah,
then he won his first 3 fights in the UFC. He lost his rematch to Alexandre Pantoja, who I'm going to talk about after him. And then he lost to Sergio Pettis and they cut him, which was really stupid because
ridiculous.
he won the LFA belt in his very next fight and then came right back to the UFC. Had a draw with Askar Askarov, who I'm also going to mention, and then won his next 3. Actually, he had a draw with Davison too. He's had 2 draws since his return. That's interesting.
After seeing him fight Figueiredo in the second fight, he's evolved so much that I feel like all of these guys are gonna have some real problems with him.
Yeah, and he's got that Mexican fighting spirit too, man. He just throws down and you're not going to fucking finish him.
You
The only
have
guy
to
that's
finish
ever
him.
Yeah, the only guy that's ever finished him is Pantoja, and that was on the Ultimate Fighter. It's not even on his record.
Is that a rear naked choke?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
very
the
back
only
and
way to
forth fight.
stop him.
Yeah, that was a very
He-
back and forth fight up until that point. But yeah, the next guy I got is Alexander Pantoja because he's lost a few times in the UFC. Honestly, I had a little bit higher hopes for him a few years ago, but he's coming off wins
Yeah, he's
over.
bouncing back right now.
Yeah, he's coming off wins over fucking, let's see, Brandon Royval and Manel Kape, both of which are world champions. He finished Royval too, the only guy that's ever submitted Royval. Royval is fucking legit on the ground, and he rear naked choked him too.
Yeah,
He's on a 2-fight win streak over 2 champs, like I just said. I think, and he's 2-0 against Brandon Moreno. I think Moreno would beat him these days, but he's 2-0 against him, just like
yeah.
Francis is 2-0 against Curtis Blades.
Pantoja is one of those guys. He almost has a similar fighting spirit to Moreno. He's so tough. He
Yeah,
never stops
he
to the
don't
board.
quit.
Yeah, he's tough. He's a gangster,
He
really.
marches you down. He throws heavy punches. He's got great leg kicks, and he's got such great grappling.
Yeah.
So good on the ground.
He's the main threat to Figueiredo / Moreno right now.
I would love to see him in Figueiredo, actually. We haven't got to
Yeah.
see that. That would be sick.
I think I mean I'm never really too sure on this because his career goes up and down, but I've been following the career of Matt Schnell
Yeah.
since he was on MTV Caged.
He was on a different MMA show.
It was a show called MTV Caged, and it was
What's
him
that?
and his buddies from his hometown. It showed them basically training in grappling in people's yards and basically doing all the type of training that I do, like driveway sparring and like makeshift rings and heavy bags. Like I've seen where he's originated from, and man, oh man, has he
He's
really
very
showed up
good.
since then. He's improved astronomically, but as of lately, he's been he's had some bumps in the road. But I feel like a lot of these guys he would give problems to. I'm not sure if these guys have fought before, but I would like to see him potentially versus Kai Kara France.
That would be a great fight. Honestly, I had high hopes for Kai too, but after watching his fight with Moreno, I just don't. And Moreno's still really young, so I just don't see that happening. But
Yeah.
going back to Pantoja and Figueiredo, I was wrong. They have fought before. But yeah, Matt Schnell, he's a really good fighter, dude. He's got really good striking. He's got good head movement. He's been knocked out a few times. He's been like starched a few times. But
Yeah.
Pantoja was one of them, the most recent. But he's got a wicked guard. He's got a really good guard, and he's got good striking, man. He's got good footwork. Like, I don't know,
Yep.
man. I thought, especially after he put, let's see, he made his UFC debut at 10-2, fell to 10-4, both KO losses, and then he won 4 straight with 2 triangle chokes. He submitted Louis Smoke in one of those.
Yep.
So I mean, and then he beat Tyson Nam, who's a champion elsewhere, in his last
Mm-hmm.
win. So yeah, dude, he's a good fighter. I would love to see him get some more wins, and I think
Start
he's
to do
definitely
some,
capable of it.
get some more wins. And then we can't not talk about Tim Elliott because we were talking about him the other day. There's some guys that really will just
Almost
have their way
submitted
with him.
Demetrius Johnson, dude.
Chris Johnson?
Demetrius Johnson almost
Oh,
submitted him.
Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah, like
Yeah, depending on how Tim Elliott matches up with you based on your style, it could be a really long night for you. A lot of guys have an easy time with Tim Elliott, but a lot of guys have a really hard time with Tim
Yeah.
Elliott. It's based on your strengths that you have. So we saw him versus Demetrius Johnson, like you said.
Mhm.
That their skill set matched up really well for Tim Elliott, and he really brought
Yeah.
to Demetrius.
He lost that fight, but yeah, he did. He put Demetrius in trouble more than once. He almost submitted him once, but he had took him down a few times. He looked good in that fight. A lot
I'd
better than
also
most
like
people
to see
thought.
him versus Royval and Kai Kara France.
Yeah, I got Brandon Rival on here too. I think he's definitely got the potential to be a future champion. He's just a dog, man. Like, he walks you down and throws down. And he throws everything. He throws spinning elbows, he throws head kicks, he throws fucking snap kicks, throws straight punches,
These
hooks.
flyweights, they never stop, man.
Yeah, and his grappling, dude, it goes right with his striking because he can go right from striking to grappling like that. He like jumped on a flying guillotine choke when he beat Kai Kara France. Like,
Yep.
it's fucking sick, man. And he submitted Tim Elliott in his UFC debut after a
And
fucking
that means something. Tim Elliott is hard.
yeah, man, after like an 8-minute scramble fest. It was,
Yeah.
dude, fucking incredible. He lost his last 2 fights. He got injured in the Moreno fight, got submitted by Pantoja. He's 29 years old. He's 12-6 now. That record doesn't really say shit about him, dude. He's such a good fighter. He's gonna
He's
climb up
only
the ranks.
fought tough guys.
Dude, he has, man. He's gonna climb up the ranks and fight for the belt someday. I got Askar Askarov on here. I think he definitely has the potential of winning the belt, even against Moreno, because he put a really good fight up against Moreno and had a draw with him. I would pick Moreno in that rematch, but Askar has definitely got to be mentioned in this. He's undefeated. He's 14-0-1. He's a Deaflympics champion, which isn't like being an Olympic champion, let's be honest, but it's kind of like being a world champion, I would think. It's a little bit smaller of an event, but yeah, it's still pretty impressive.
Do you know if Askarov has been matched up with Figueiredo?
No, he hasn't.
That would be an interesting match.
That really would. That would be a really interesting matchup because Figueiredo has only lost to Moreno and Jussier Formiga a long time ago. And Askarov hasn't lost at all. And they're both in the top 3. I think Askarov is the one right behind him, actually.
Well, we're actually about to see Tim Elliott. We were just talking about him. He just popped up and he's fighting right now. So we're gonna see.
Shit. Yeah,
we're gonna see if he's gonna make another run right here because I think this is a crucial fight for him.
Fuck, who is he fighting? I'm stoned right now. I should know this.
Man, I forgot the guy's
just
name.
talked about this shit yesterday.
We did just talk about it. I'm pulling it up right now.
All right.
Matthias Nikolai.
Oh yeah, dude, he might lose this fight. He might win it though. Like you said, man, Matthias.
We don't know until the first minute of how things start going.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick with Elliott. You
No
don't
one
know what he's going to be able to pull off.
I don't think anybody figures Elliott out in a minute. Literally no one.
You don't know what he can pull off until he's in there. Like, you think like on paper you're like Matthias Nikolai could take it, but until Tim Elliott starts doing some weird stuff and how does Matthias Nikolai react to it?
Yeah,
You know,
Tim Elliott's the type of guy that I would just never ever bet on. But dude, think about that. This is the type of fight that could show us that records don't mean shit because Matthias is 17-2, Elliott is 17-11 with a draw or 2 draws. I think he has 1 draw.
Yeah, Elliott's had a really tough go. He's one
Dude, he's
like
fought a
we were
lot of
talking
really
about.
good fighters, man. Even outside
Yeah,
the UFC. Like he was fighting good fighters before he got to the UFC. He was fighting good fighters after he got cut. And now since he's been back, he's been fighting good fighters.
he really is. He really is. Like a veteran in the sport.
Yeah, he is at this point for sure. Especially at flyweight. He's probably like the most gritty veteran we have at flyweight right now.
That's agreement right there.
How about Manel Kape, the rising bantamweight champ? I think that if he fights more like he did in his last fight and isn't so goddamn gun shy, he can beat anybody because he is as slick as they come and he's got some real power. He's got an underrated ground game too.
Power goes a long way in this division.
Yeah, man.
Because it's a rare
Commodity.
attribute.
Yeah.
So like Figueiredo for a while was ruling the division because of his power.
Yep.
And Brandon Moreno was able to just squeak by it with really well-rounded skills and toughness and cardio. So yeah, that should be interesting too. Man, these it's hard to put your finger on these flyweights because so much happens in such short of time. You really don't know how it's gonna go. And if you think you do, it ends up being differently.
I'm so glad the UFC introduced the division and didn't take it away.
Yes.
I'm so dude, I can't believe they even considered doing that. That's so fucked up. Like they cut a lot of good flyweights too that really should still be here. Like Dustin Ortiz, like Justin Scoggins lost his last couple fights, but he's a really fun guy to watch. Fights a lot like Stephen Thompson.
Right.
I got 2 more on my list of flyweights, and they're both relatively unknown. But Amir Albazi, he was a champion before coming over. He's 2-0 in the UFC right now, and he's really good everywhere. The next one, Sumu Dodri. This dude is only 25 years old. He's 14-4. He's been submitted in all 4 of his losses, but he's so long. He's like 5'10". He's so long for a flyweight, and he's got such great striking. He's so slick with it. In a few years, I could really see him becoming a problem.
Yeah, if he works on his BJJ a little bit, because a lot of these guys at flyweight will take your neck. They have some good grapplers.
I'm happy to see that all of his 4 losses are by submission though, because that's a technique thing. That's something he can get better at. It's not like he's been beat down 4 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. I know I said we weren't going to do this, but we might as well do the women's divisions too, because there's only 3 of them.
I have a few honorable mentions for sure for a few of the women's divisions.
Okay, cool. Who do you got for featherweight? Anybody? I got Norma Dumont. She might be able to at some point. I don't see her beating Amanda, but if Amanda vacates the belt, I could see Norma Dumont winning the belt. I don't like her a lot.
I don't even know what's going on at featherweight.
They might not even keep the division.
I don't know if they are, man. I was looking earlier just so I could try to pick, some people that I wanted to keep in mind, and they don't even have a women's featherweight ranking posted in the UFC right now.
I don't think
it has
they ever
Amanda
have,
Nunes,
honestly.
and when you click on it, there's nothing.
I don't think they ever have.
I thought they did when they had when Cyborg was in it, and
Maybe.
when did they release the really tall girl who lost really bad recently to Nunes?
Megan Anderson?
Yes.
Yeah.
They released her?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They just kind of dwindled
had her
away
fighting
their top 5 when they did that.
They're having to have a lot of bantamweights go up to fight the featherweights. But they, even if they did have rankings before, they never had 15 girls to put in it. Or 16.
No, they would have, and if they did, it was people who have never fought and that just got signed.
Yeah, I really wish they would have kept Megan. I mean, she could be a fun fight, but she's fought everybody there actually, except for Norma.
And I think she probably wanted a decent amount of money at that point in her career, and it wasn't correlating with her UFC wins.
Right. She is a good fighter.
She absolutely
I hope she keeps doing it. Hopefully she goes to Bellator. What about bantamweights? I got some high hopes for Aspen Lattice. She can get her weight issues under control.
Yeah, Juliana Pena, people were thinking was gonna be the champ.
I thought I had some high hopes for her a while ago too.
Everyone, when she was in the Ultimate Fighter, everyone thought she was gonna be the new thing.
Yeah, dude, she was so good, man.
She had injuries and then she got pregnant.
Yeah.
So She's still a good fighter. Don't get me
She's a
wrong,
very
but
good
she
fighter.
has to do a little proving to me before I say that she's gonna, beat anyone like Durandame or,
Yeah, I don't
even
see her
Aspen
winning the
Ladd.
belt anymore.
Um,
Don't mean she won't, but I don't see it.
yeah, I feel like it tells a lot of the story when you go to number 2 and it's Holly Holm at bantamweight.
And I don't see her winning a belt either.
Exactly, and she's number 2, and it's
That's
really hard to imagine her holding a candle to Nunes
that's
right
what
now.
I'd say. Aspen Ladd is probably our best bet. She's 26 years old. She's 9-1. She has dominated absolutely everybody she's fought except for Jermaine, who's like in her late 30s. She ain't gonna be around much longer. And Aspen, her only 2 decision wins come over Ciara Eubanks. She's finished everybody else. She's got really good wrestling. She's got good striking.
Pena could be a good
She's
match
gritty.
for Nunes on the ground as well, but it has to get there first.
Pena and Nunes on the ground. I think Nunes beats her on the ground too, honestly.
Yeah, it's really hard to.
Valentina Shevchenko submitted her. And Valentina's got a really good ground game, and people didn't even know that until like a year ago. She's demonstrated it so many times, but people always just saw her as a striker. But
That was my
yeah.
honorable mention. I think that
Valentina,
could
that's a
be.
good one for bantamweights. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, she could potentially beat Nunes, or potentially she could
I think she
absolutely
would
beat.
if a trilogy happens. I think she would win it.
She's at a
She's evolved
better
more.
point in her career. I think Nunes is still the best. Don't get me wrong, but Valentina is literally as fast, as in shape, and as good as she's ever been. And Nunes has kind of not really had to fight anyone that can even like they put her up against who was that girl? Felicia Spencer.
Her most difficult fight in her last like fucking since the Valentina rematch was Jermaine.
Yeah, and Jermaine is a tough fight for
She won
everyone.
all 5 rounds of that
She's
fight.
just a little savage. I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan of Jermaine.
Yeah,
But
she's not the best sportsman or sportswoman, you know.
I feel like
After that
people want
Holly
to see her
Holm fight,
lose.
and then the fact that she refused to fight Cyborg really pissed me off.
Yeah, and Amanda Nunes doesn't like her either anymore. I don't think. I thought they were training partners, but I read something about them having some type of a spat with each other.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Doesn't surprise me though, the way Jermaine is.
Jermaine is 46-0 in kickboxing as well. She's actually fought men and knocked them out multiple times in kickboxing. I don't
Yeah, I
agree
seen
with
that.
that. I don't know why people would sanction fights like that, but
Hey, you go somewhere in the world, you find it.
yeah. I guess the last name I have for 135, and I don't think she's going to win a belt, but she has improved a lot. And if she could continue to improve, she could give people a lot of problems. Is the girl that Aspen Ladd was supposed to fight last weekend before she missed weight again is Macy Chiasson. She's only lost once. She's 7-1. She could have a pretty bright future too. She's also got a very good frame. She's
Right.
really gritty. She's tough. She pushes the pace. She's got good skills.
Didn't Misha Tate catch a win recently?
Yeah, she did. She came back and beat fucking somebody. Marion Hano.
Yeah,
She TKO'd her in the third
she could
round.
beat some girls in the division I see, but
Yeah,
she's
she ain't
also
winning the
not that
belt.
fighter that she was when she left.
Yeah, she's not winning the belt, but I was super happy to see that. She fought someone who was coming off like 3 losses, I think, when she came back, which was honestly a good matchup. I'm glad they did that for her.
Right.
But who do you got for 125? I don't see anyone challenging Valentina at all. Even if Rose moves up or if Whaley moves up, I don't see him winning the fight. They would have the best chance other than Tatiana. Wait, Tatiana's a strawweight, isn't she? Never mind. That's for the next one.
I give none of them a chance at all. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah,
We're looking at Jessica Andrade, who has the absolute best shot, and there is no shot there.
All right, so let's assume Valentina retires or she goes up to bantamweight permanently. Who's the best flyweight?
Jessica Andrade.
Could you see anybody beating her after a couple years?
I mean, Joanne Calderwood's well-rounded.
Yeah,
I don't know if
is.
she's physically strong enough to win a fight with Andrade.
Yeah, I don't think she would beat Andrade.
Caitlin Chukagian has a way with sneaking decisions on people and avoiding
She really
damage.
does. She also got knocked out by Andrade in the first round.
That's true. That's true. So that might be a little harder to match up at this point. Lauren Murphy just lost to Shevchenko. She could probably bring a fight to Andrade. She's strong. She's mean.
Tough. Very tough. That head kick didn't
Leo
knock her
was
out.
looking great, but not really so much.
I think maybe Jillian Robertson could do something in a few years. She's 26 and she's 9-6 as a pro, but in her wins, she's kind of like a Habib, man. Like her wrestling
Yeah.
is so fucking good. She's got good striking or good ground and pound and good submissions too. I think in a few years she could be a problem for a lot of girls right
There's some
now.
people that are going to be
Back and forth.
moving
Yeah.
around a little bit. I feel like Alexa Grasso could potentially move up the rankings. Roxanne Modafari. She fights at 35 now, doesn't she?
Roxanne. Yeah.
Well, if she did do 25, she's moving up the division for sure. She impresses me every time. Andrea Lee, Macy Barber's definitely gonna move up a little bit. I don't know if she's gonna be a champion, but she's ranked 13 right now. She's definitely gonna move up from 13.
Wait, are they 25ers? Shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, Macy Barber, Miranda Maverick. That's a really good name to put in there. She's only 24, and honestly, she just beat Macy Barber. So I don't think she's lost in the UFC, and she's really good everywhere. She's a
Miranda
very
Maverick must
strong
have just
girl.
lost because she just went down in ranking. She's
Who?
15 now.
Who did?
Miranda Maverick,
That's kind of ridiculous.
she went down in ranking. She
I think she's a
went
top
down
10.
below Casey O'Neill.
That's interesting. I think she would be. Well, Casey O'Neill just won her fight, so maybe that's why. I think Miranda Maverick's definitely got a really bright future in the sport. They got a lot of flyweights in the women's division now. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, for sure. There's people that bounce back and forth too.
Yeah. How about strawweights? For this one, all right. So I gotta say Tatiana Suarez. I really hope that she comes back and makes a full recovery and her neck is okay. Because she could be the future of the division. Her wrestling is so good.
I'm pretty sure Andrade called out Rose after her last win. Obviously,
Really?
she has a shot at Rose.
She should have. Yeah, she already beat her. I mean, she was getting pieced up in that fight, but she beat her.
Or
Almost
Andrade
killed her.
versus Wei Lee would be a really good title eliminator.
Andrade and Weili. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Carla Esparza's honestly got to get hers because she's on like a 4 or 5 fight win streak now too.
Is she?
Yeah,
People sleep on her.
I know, dude. She was. Let's see, she's 9-4 in the UFC, so that means she either fought a 4-4 or 5-4, and she's won her last 4 or 5. Let's see, she's won her last 5 straight.
That's
Last
crazy.
Well, her last one, she actually finished Yan Xiaonan. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah, because she always wins decisions against everybody. Yeah, I was really surprised about that. Yeah, she needs to get hers for sure. I think her and Weili would be cool, but I think they're just gonna do the Weili rematch. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I read something about that.
I think Carla Esparza gets smashed by Andrade or Wei Lee.
You think Weili beats her? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, we haven't seen Weili really get out wrestled, have we? I mean,
I think Carla it's gonna be too hard to take her down.
I've seen someone take her down before. I don't remember who it was, but she got an armbar off her back. It was really beautiful. That was like her first or second UFC fight.
You
Weili's
definitely
also
can't sleep on the wrestling of Esparza.
yeah. Weili is also a finisher too. She's only got like 2 decisions on her record. She's 21-2.
And then we obviously got Mackenzie Dern, which is a
yeah. Yep.
huge. She's literally looks amazing right now. She's gonna be fighting tonight. I have her getting the win, probably via submission, but she'll
Yeah.
probably use a lot of striking as well.
Yeah, she's fighting Marina Rodriguez. And honestly, if Marina wins this fight, she's got a shot too, because she's a really good fight. She's only ever lost once, a split decision to Carla Esparza.
Mackenzie Dern
14-1
versus
too.
Carla Esparza after she wins tonight.
Yeah. I think
Because
whoever
Mackenzie
wins this-
Dern's going to either, if she wins, she's going to either become 3. She's 4. Carla is 3. So she'll either pass Carla or they'll be tied for 3rd.
Yeah, I think that's a good fight, Carla and the winner of tonight. I think
Or
Carla
Mackenzie
and-
Dern and Joanna, because if they get tied for 3rd, they're right next to Joanna. And
Ooh.
Mackenzie Dern versus Joanna would be like main event central.
That would be sick. I was gonna say Marina and Esparza would be interesting. Esparza might be able to out wrestle her. I think Dern would definitely fucking submit her. But Joanna and Dern, that would be fucking crazy because Joanna shouldn't be getting a title shot anytime soon, right? She's already been gifted like her last two. So
Yeah,
fight some contenders.
she's
Yeah,
cruising on her name right now.
that would be really cool. That'd be such a huge step up for her.
Yeah, I feel like Mackenzie Dern can beat everyone in strawweight right now, except for potentially Rose,
I think
potentially Andrade, or potentially Zhang.
she's got the potential to beat all of them just because
Yes,
of her
she
grappling.
can win all of them, but I'm not sold. I wouldn't bet the house on it yet.
Right, yeah. Honestly, I don't even know if I would bet on her against Joanna. I don't know if she would be able to get that fight to the ground.
I feel
But
like she's physically stronger,
go for some
but I don't
minority
know. I
rolls.
want to see how she does tonight, and then I'll have a better idea.
Yeah, man, me too. What fight is it on right now? How did Tim Elliott do?
Tim Elliott's fighting right now, and his head movement is really good, but it's, you know, he's still looking for wrestling. He moves
Yeah,
around like Muhammad Ali in there.
he's crazy, man. I gotta watch them after they come on because I didn't know they fucking started at 2 o'clock. I hate early fight cards, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do with myself now. All right, I think that about wraps this video up. The next one you want to do, probably do a post fight, and then we can do another topic video like this. You want to do the best and never won a belt? I think people would
Absolutely.
like that
Sounds
one.
like a good one to do.
Yeah, I think so. All right, man. I will talk to you on what, Monday? Thanks
Sounds
everybody
good.
for watching. Like, subscribe if you like it. Peace out. Have a good one, bud.
Take it easy.